Good day. Welcome to my channel, Professional Learning Environment. Let's learn together with the heart. My topic for today is all about reflective teaching and learning thriving in the new normal. My name is REYES-CHUA. I have one objective for today, and that is to become a reflective teacher or practitioner. To be reflective means I think about how I can improve. Reflective thought was introduced in 1910, and John Dewey wrote the book How We Think. And here, he mentioned that learning improves to the degree that it arises out of the process of reflection. Therefore, teaching without reflecting is futile. What comes into your mind when you hear the words reflection, reflective teaching, reflective learning? Is it critical thinking, problem solving, higher level thought, evaluation, or critical analysis? Reflection and evaluation are inherent in the job and are an essential part of developing your teaching skills. That is according to McGregor and Cartwright 2011. All teachers need to be able to evaluate the impact of teaching, reflect and improve, and identify priorities. Teachers should know how to plan, organize, and evaluate the teaching and learning process. So when we say reflective teaching, Pollard 2019 mentions reflective teaching is about the quality of critical thinking. How would you know if your students have critical thinking skills? Give them some examples of activities that teach them how to critically analyze and problem solve. Reflective teaching, Ziegner and Liston mention, it is important to reflect on one's teaching, because when you reflect, you get to know your life's purpose as well as your place in the world. Bonfield and others 2013 mentions, reflecting through researching is very significant. That's why I also do some action researches or simple research in order to find out the solutions to the problems in the teaching and learning process. One important thing that I consider as reflective is through travel. My reflective learning journey was an achievement. This journey brought me into realization about my profession and my life as an individual. I had time to evaluate the impact of my teaching on the progress of the students and modify these teaching practices as necessary. I had time to reflect on and improve these practices and take responsibility for identifying and meeting my students and fellow teachers professionally. So it's not really enough to know them, to learn about them, but you really have to be with them so you get to know them better and understand their needs. I had time to identify priorities for my professional development. So I don't stop learning. This journey brought me into another realization, which is to realize the value of myself. I need to say to myself that I am important. Reflect on how to deal with people and learn how to apologize. It's not difficult to say sorry to someone you have wronged. Think about how to make my life improve by not blaming others. And this journey helped me to realize and to reflect on the value of true friendship, true love, and camaraderie. To internalize the importance of emotions, to recognize the value of individual differences, most especially with my students, and will make them realize who they are by respecting them. And finally, this journey brought me into a realization on how to reflect, to be more critical without criticizing other people. Linkage, connection, network, collaborations, these are all very important as a professional. Dewey mentions reflective thinking is an active, persistent, and careful consideration of a belief. Reflective teaching is the process of analyzing and making judgments about what has happened. Teachers need to be able to have a creative and constructive critical approach towards an innovation, act upon advice and feedback, ensure that colleagues working with them are appropriately involved. Through the process of reflection, you have to determine first your experience, observe about this experience, you reflect on this experience, and you plan. And then going back to the experience again, you observe, you reflect, plan, and then experience. How do I apply reflective teaching in the classroom? Relate new knowledge to prior understanding. Do not assume that students do not know the subject matter. Some of them do know, and some of them had prior knowledge. Think in both abstract and conceptual terms, apply specific strategies in novel tasks. Understand their own thinking and learning strategies by conducting a survey on their learning preference. Some of the strategies of reflective teaching and learning are, first, self-evaluation. A reflective student or a teacher is able to keep a record, and students love their teachers who help them learn. If you want them to become reflective, ask them to do an activity that will make them realize their own sense of themselves. Say, how other members of my family see me. Give them time to answer this question. How my teachers see me. How my classmates see me. How my friends see me. And most importantly, how my family see me. My parents. If you want your students to become reflective, give them an activity that make them realize their own sense of themselves. Try to ask them questions like how other members of my family see me, how my teachers see me, how my classmates see me, how my friends see me, and most importantly, how my parents see me. As a teacher, you should also know how to determine whether these statements are true to you or not. I plan my lessons well with clear aims and suitable content and structure. I prepare the materials needed for the lesson, like worksheets, in good time. My explanations and instructions are clear and pitch at the right level for students to understand. I distribute the questions around the classroom and use both open and closed questions. I use a variety of learning activities. My lessons are suitable for the range of ability of my students. I maintain level of control and order that is conducive for learning to occur. I monitor students' learning closely during the lesson and help them to see those having difficulties. I mark work, including homework, thoroughly, constructively, and in good time. I have good relationships with students based on mutual respect and rapport, and my subject expertise is fine for the week and do. If most of your answers are yes and not no, of course, you can already be called as a reflective practitioner. The second strategy is to monitor your performance as a teacher. The third strategy is to build your profile and your portfolios. The teaching portfolio should contain the following: your teaching philosophy, your CV, your documentation such as your licenses, your teaching loads, your schedule, academic advising. The effectiveness of teaching summarizes student evaluation. The feedback from your students are very important, or the feedback from your peers or your supervisor. The sample of student works. Improving instruction, seminars and conferences or trainings attended. Some seminars and conferences you conducted. The design of courses, like the module development. Contribution to the teaching profession. Did you conduct research? Did you present some papers, research papers? Do you have some research articles published? Do you have teaching committees? Do you have extra and co-curricular activities? Some honors or awards and recognitions, teaching awards, certificates, or appreciation or recognition, these should all be part of your teaching portfolio. The fourth strategy is mentoring. Mentoring can be very influential in developing your teaching skills. If you have been teaching for 10 years, then you need to mentor those who are newcomers because they need you. Another strategy is to collect data about your teaching practice, passion of your teaching is really necessary. Try to do some research and you collect the data and analyze them. Write a diary or journal. Make a record of your lessons. Have I done well? Do you want to improve your pronunciation, your lesson? You get feedback from a colleague observing your lesson. Get feedback from your students because they are your mirror. Getting to grips with the school data systems. Peer observation is another strategy. Written accounts and recording lessons, whether video or audio. Deepening understanding of reflective teaching and thriving in this new normal is really important now. I have organized an Asian virtual conference on multidisciplinary research at the EAC Cavite last July 24 and 25, 2020. And one of the speakers discussed about upgrading your life. And he asked this question: how do we grow? By adopting new models of reality and new systems of living. He mentioned about Elon Musk, who said, I think it's possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary. And Steve Jobs, who mentioned that for the past 33 years, I have looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Deep human is another strategy for this. And then focus and mindfulness, self-awareness, empathy. The complex communication, adaptability, and resilience are very important. The speaker suggested to practice self-awareness at all times. Because of the so many notifications on our gadgets, we tend to forget the most important thing to do. Learn how to internalize what you are doing and enjoy what you really want to do. Empathy. It's the art of patience. You should know how to feel what your students feel about. Complex communication. As teachers of the 21st century, you should know how to use different platforms. If you know one, do not try to limit your knowledge to everyone. Reflect on how you are good at using the internet or the computer, the various learning management systems. From there, start teaching your students to become a good communicator. Teach them to thrive in this new normal by learning new things and to upgrade their lives for else. Adaptability and resilience. Adaptability is the ability to exist in the present, being able to adapt honestly and happily to the demands and adjustments of the moment. When circumstances shift, people with adaptability power will adapt and alter easily. They are flexible. A teacher should know how to examine tasks in terms of their learning demands and by using LMS that are appropriate to student learning. Investigate question and answer sessions. 9. Evaluate the techniques to assess students' progress. Make use of evidence-based classroom practice, because according to Hattie 2011 and Petty 2009, there has been a huge increase in the number of sources of information drawing upon the research evidence for the effectiveness of different aspects of classroom practice. Help others to develop their classroom teaching skills. These are some of the guidelines for effective use of reflection for the students. Try to allocate time for reflection in every session. Maybe 5 minutes. Right after your lesson, you need to give them 5 minutes to reflect on what they have learned. Schedule a short briefing activity to recapture the experience through question and answer. And then you ask them to ask questions. Develop skills in analyzing past experiences. Encourage them to recount their experiences to others. Attend to their feelings, especially the positive and pleasant ones. And finally, evaluate the experience in the life of the learners internally. So if you will try to do the strategies that I have mentioned, then you are willing to learn and change and embrace the new normal. And that is what we call transformative reflection. So some key reflections for today. Lisa Pearson mentions teaching and learning should bring joy. I would say we can make the difference if we will. An anonymous writer says, the mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates. And Mr. Haboneta mentions striving in the new normal is not that easy, but be open for change. So upgrade their lives on us. I think that's all for today. I'll see you again next meeting. So again, welcome to my professional learning environment channel. Let's learn together with a heart. Good day, everyone.